Hey, it's Tom. Got a little story to tell you about a scouting trip I was on today. And it involves a woodsman with about 70 years of wood experience. And we'll get you this story right soon. So, I was out in the woods today, scouting around. Deer season and regular hunting season is going to be in soon. I had to find out what I could do, find out, different things, let's just say. So I ran into an old friend of mine. The guy's in his 80s. He's been walking these woods since I can remember. Typically, you catch him in a pair of buckskins with a flintlock. It looks like he just walked out of the 1700s. He used to do mountain man reenactment. He still does to a certain extent, but he doesn't, trek like he used to. This man can tell you stories of when things were wild here, or there was nothing but him and his flintlock and miles of country behind him. So, I'm out there with the William Collins knife that I have, and the tracker, the Damascus tracker that I showed you on one video. I just wanted to see what they would do, and cut down a tree and this, that, and the other thing, and well, not a tree, but a sapling, because I needed a walking staff for this year and whatnot. So, So I was doing my thing with him, and he's, what do you got on there? Well, so a friend of mine made this from William Collins. It's what they call a parang. It's an old jungle machete. But he shortened it down to a 6-inch blade and whatnot, and he calls it a prepper model. Oh, what are you prepping with that? Most anything I want, I guess. What's that other thing? Kind of carrying it upside down. It's going to fall out of that sheath. The Damascus you carry horizontal. So I took it on. He's like, "What's that?" So, well, it's a tracker model, tracker style. So what good is that? And he said, the blade's all messed up on it. It's got, and he was going through the whole thing. So I was like, well, let me show you. So I showed him how to both knives perform, and he's like, he says, I remember the days when you used to come out here squirrel hunting, you were carrying 2 Bowie knives. And I remember that story. I had a Rambo 3 knife, and I also had a Bowie knife on me that day. And he wasn't impressed with them, trust me. So, my father-in-law gave me a knife years ago, and I haven't been using it because it had sentimental value, but I took that one with me too, just to mess around with. And this is the one he gave me. Now, this is a knife out of the 40s or 50s. It's a no-namer. Probably bought at a hardware store or whatever. But he gave me this knife, and like I said, I've been keeping it and haven't really used it. So I took it out today, and I was playing with it. Now, when he seen this, his eyes lit up. He said to me, now that's a knife for the woods. 6-inch blade is the right knife for the woods, or a 5-inch, and he was going through knives and stuff. I didn't really even know the guy was interested in knives. So we went through a whole bunch of stuff. He's like, what are you carrying that backpack around for? And it's like, what backpack? It's that thing on your side. I said, well, you know what that is. He said, yeah, I know what it is. He said, but what do you need it out here for? So we went through the contents of that. He's like, Tommy, he said, you need to get a good knife, which I had to laugh because I got a lot of them. So you need to get yourself a good knife and a tomahawk or a hatchet and cut down on 97% of what you got in that haversack. So you're not coming out here for weeks and months. He said, you're coming out here for what? A couple hours a day, maybe? It was like, yeah, at tops, 6-7 hours. He's like, so what do you carry in there? I said, well, the stuff we just went through. He said, no, what do you carry in there? Now I'm confused. Well, it turns out that his grandson and his nephew watches this channel. And they've seen my haversack kit. And they built one just like it. So he was kind of alluding to the fact of what I normally carry in that haversack kit I don't have in there. So I thought you carried like this bottle-looking canteen, and you carried this and you carried that. Busted. So anyway, I explained to him the whole thing, and he's like, "That's funny." He said, "I've been out here in these woods running around for a long time, Tommy." He's like, "You know, my dad had one knife that I have now, and that's the only knife I've ever had. I've never had any stainless steel pots or anything like that." He said, "If I was coming out camping," he said, "I carried pots with me." He went through the ferro rod. He's like, "What's wrong with a book of matches?" I was like, "Well, you know, they get wet, this, that." And he said, "Well, yeah, but you don't let them get wet." So it was a history lesson in time. And semi-eye opener. Because even though you're going out in the wilderness, and I go out in the wilderness, or whoever, these guys remember when I say wild here, I mean there was cats, there was you name it running around in abundance, not just here and there. And, you know, houses were few and far between. There was no cell phones. There, you know, you got hurt, you took care of yourself. It was wild. It was just a story I felt like bringing you because, like I said, I was just carrying a bunch of knives and stuff, and it was just a story. It was an interesting story and kind of, like I said, an eye-opener to me. So, maybe it might be an eye-opener to you too. So this is Tom, and I want to thank you for your time and your patience. If you're not subscribed, please do. And we'll see you guys on the next one.